No, we're talking about combating quiet quitting and loud retention. Which is quite a good subject. When I saw what DeVriti wrote about this one, I thought, yeah, there's some different views, different perspectives on this.
Definitely.
But,
I think this kind of links in quite well to last week's episode as well, with terms of different generations and their viewpoints on it.
Yeah,
and
definitely.
I think the actual phrase itself, quiet quitting, is interesting. It's been all over LinkedIn, but I think there's a couple of different things that it's been called over the years, and I think it is very much a viewpoint. It's based on how you view it, and I think a lot of it ties down to the environment and the culture and actually where you're working and what you do to a degree.
So what actually is it?
So by definition, the phenomenon where employees disengage from their roles and responsibilities even though they haven't formally quit their jobs. A subtle form of resignation, often going unnoticed until it's too late, which can significantly impact productivity and morale.
Oh, wow. It's just like...
I'm out the door, but
I'm not actually left.
Yeah. So it's kind of like I'm operating at like 30%.
So I'm literally doing it because I have to.
Yeah.
Until I find... Well, maybe not even until I find anything. It could be just like, I'm just not doing it.
Yeah. Yeah, but then I think the kind of the flip side of it is they kind of call it like... The phrase is act in your wage.
Okay, yeah, okay, yeah.
Because it kind of... This is where I kind of see both sides of it. It's just, okay, quiet quitting is like, well, I want to leave. I don't enjoy what I'm doing. I'm going to put in the absolute bare minimum. But then the flip side is I get paid from 9 to 5. Yeah. I do everything that I need to do, and then I go home. And it's not putting in that extra work. And that's kind of where I'm caught in a crossroads. Because if you've done everything you need to do in that week, and you do it in 9 to 5, you're just doing your job, right? Yeah. You're not doing any more, you're not doing any less. But I think if you're not doing what you need to be doing, if you're not meeting the requirements, you're not up to kind of...
if you're just disengaged because you're just unhappy. Yeah,
you're kind of just doing the bare minimum to not get sacked. Yeah. I think it's different to actually doing what your job requires you to do.
Interesting one, isn't it? I've never... I think it's always been around. I think quiet quitting's always been there for sure. And I think depending on what you kind of do, it can be it can be really obvious or not obvious. You know, if you did, I can imagine if you work in quite a big corporate company, you probably could get away with a fair bit.
Yeah, I'd imagine.
Compared to like a small business. But why do people do it then? So why did people quit quiet? Is that a phrase as well? Like, quiet quitting? I'm going to quit quiet?
Quit quietly, I guess.
I'm going to quit quietly without anyone knowing.
I guess it's... I'd imagine it be from getting to the point where you kind of say, I've hit the ceiling. There's nowhere else for me to go. Burnout. Yeah. Burnout's probably a massive one. What else? Feeling underpaid. People...
Undervalued,
a bit demoralised. I can imagine if you're kind of going up for a promotion, someone else in your team gets it, someone you've worked with, they're now telling you how to do your job.
There's got to be loads of reasons.
Yeah, I can imagine, But I think, it probably comes down to not being valued, appreciated. Yeah. You don't feel like you're engaged in what you actually do.
So it's quite a personal thing, really, then?
Yeah, I think so, yeah.
So, yeah.
I think it is different to acting your wage. Because I think acting your wage is very different. If you have set goals and targets that you need to achieve, or you say, right, in this week you need to have completed X, Y, and Z projects. If you've done it by Wednesday,
happy days.
They said you've got a week to do it, and by Wednesday you say it's done, it's completed. That's kind of where I've done what you needed to do. I can take on extra work because you're paying me for these hours.
Yeah. I think that could
is that going above and beyond, or are you still just doing your job?
I don't think so. I don't know, because when
you're being paid for time, right?
Yeah, you trade your time for money. Ultimately, that's what a lot of people kind of interpret as that, right? And then in return, you get not just money, but it could be career aspiration, or it could be exposure to something technical, whatever, right? But you're right. I suppose the actual definition really is I'm giving you this contract and I'm giving you this much money, and in return I expect you to do X, Y, and Z between the hours of A and B, and that's it. So yeah, you're right. I think there is like working to your wage, and it makes really good sense. And actually thinking about it more from like a mental well-being perspective right now, absolutely. Why should you do 150% of your job unless you're going to get paid an extra 50% of it, or there's something else? It doesn't have to be about money. It could be something different. And I think that's where I've always thought about it, to go, right, I get paid a wage to turn up and do a job, so I do my job. But if I want to progress and continue and develop and all those things, I don't just go, well, I'm done. It's like, can you imagine that, right? Imagine you can almost put this to anything, like going to the gym or whatever and just going, well, I've done my like 1,502 calories and I'm done, that's it. But I've got more energy, but I don't want to use that. And you kind of go, well, why wouldn't you want to use that though? Because you could actually get there faster, potentially. And I think, to me, that seems to be the trade-off. So it's always like going, fine, work to your wage, but then don't expect anyone to go outside of their 9 to 5 for you then. It does work both ways, surely. And so, I don't think life's fair like this anyway. I don't think you can just clock in and clock out, really. I think with all this kind of work-life blending and kind of working from home a lot more, and the more like digital nomads that want to kind of work abroad and that kind of stuff, I think it's very difficult to say, well, I'm just going to clock in at 9, leave at 5 or whatever it may be, and that's it. Because what if you've got clients and people that want you to do things out of hours? Which, oh, sorry, it's just not my problem. It's like, okay, well, just know not to use you again then. It's not a problem. Right.
Yeah, no, definitely. I think especially in any sort of client-facing roles or any kind of target-driven role, it is almost endless. Because you could say, well, you can, do more deals, or you can bring on more clients, or, put out more projects, or whatever it may be. But then if you're in a role where maybe that's not reflected. Yeah. You're in a role where it's kind of, right, we need to complete.
Yeah, it doesn't matter if I do loads of work or a little bit of work, I'm just being rewarded the same way. Yeah.
Yeah, if you're a compliance manager and you need to...
Singling those guys out.
Yeah. Well, this is just
this
an
is
example.
To you, Mr. Compliance Manager.
Yeah, but any kind of role like this where you go, right, I need to put these policies together. I've got a project to complete by this time because it's this regulation. If you get it done in that time frame, do you need to work that kind of 9 to 5? If you can do that in 4 hours,
get it done.
And then this is where I kind of think, well, maybe you go more down the project route. And I almost throw it back to like the construction industry.
Yeah.
Where it's like, okay, you can pay your builder by the hour, and the job will be done well, but it'll be done in longer.
Yeah.
Or you do it, say, right, I'm going to pay you for when the work's completed, and all of a sudden the work gets done a lot quicker.
Yeah.
So I always think that, why can't you apply that to kind of this environment where you say, well, work whatever hours you want, but these are the outcomes that we need. And I think that works in a smaller organisation.
I think
because if you can take a lot more ownership and a visibility in a bigger company, you might have a compliance team of 50 people all contributing to this whole thing. How do you single out that individual person? Because then you get coasters and, like I said, people going under the radar. And
there's always going to be a variety and like a barometer of what good looks like, right? And because you're dealing with people, it's all individual. Some people's standard is naturally lower, higher than others, and that's the only way you can ever gauge it. I think actually it does kind of come back to having a realistic responsibility. So when you hire people in general, there should be a list of requirements or responsibilities that this person's actually doing, and they should be always kind of fulfilling in some description. Don't get me wrong, there's going to be times where it might just be project work and it's kind of complete, but it's a journey. And I think it's a two-way street. Your employer should definitely be looking to give you reasons to stay, but then equally your employee should give you a lot of reasons to keep you engaged. It's always like that. It's always coming backwards and forwards all the time.
Yeah. I don't think the emphasis needs to be on employers either.
No, definitely not.
Because I think with this quiet quitting, in my head at least, you should get to the point where if you're quiet quitting, you can kind of do your job relatively easily.
Yes.
And you're not being challenged, and you haven't got that.
Yeah, it could work that way. It could be. It's too easy for me, isn't it? We're kind of talking about it as if you're disengaged and you're not interested or whatever. But actually, it could be that it's just too easy. I'm not being challenged, and I'm kind of giving up that way.
I can
I'm
do it.
Stretching myself.
Yeah, I can do what the business requires me to do with relative ease.
Yeah.
I might have been doing it 5, 6, 7, 8 years. I could do it with my eyes shut now. I can do what used to take me 9 to 5, Monday to Friday. I can do it in actually 10 to 3. I can take a few extra breaks, and I can give myself better work-life balance. I'm still getting the same outcome. And if you're happy with that, I don't necessarily think it's a bad thing.
I think it's just
because there is a place for that in business. To say, do you know what, you're exceptional at what you do. If you're happy to do that and you can get work done quicker,
Yeah, great.
more efficiently. It's to a high standard, high quality. And you know what? You don't need to work 9 to 5. You can get it done in 10 to 3, and you can do the drop-offs.
Just work it flexibly. Yeah.
Work it flexibly. But you don't have that aspiration to take on something new. But you're happy. Maybe it's not quite quitting. It's just I'm quite content at what I do.
Could be. I like what I read here that Dev Riti put. It's Ariana Huffington, media tycoon, says it's a gateway to quitting on life. Whereas the Boston Globe has launched this as a potential silent revolution extending beyond the workspace into quite cooking, parenting, and even laundry.
Really?
Good point, right? Because if I've got that in your head that I'm just going to work for the contracted thing, I can get on the bus and I get off at this point, and that's it. What's stopping you not taking that home and go? My parenting starts here and ends there. They wake up at 7, they go to bed at 6, and that's it. I don't parent off that. Or like cooking, it could be exactly the same thing. I just, if it gets past this point, I'll just deliver it. I don't need to think about this. It's not my problem.
Yeah.
And it goes, you go, actually, yeah. There's probably a lot of it. It could be put down so that you are just quitting in general. If you don't want to push, you don't want to stretch, then you will just regress ultimately. Actually, weird enough, so I had my health assessment the other day, and the guy was talking to me about like just fitness in general and the benefits of that, and he was saying basically if you just don't stress your body, it won't ever kind of be at this maximum potential. It's impossible. You can't just sit there and do nothing and expect results. And actually I think that mentality is super true in work, life, everything. Is if you just want to sit there and expect things to happen, what are you waiting for? No one's coming. There's no there's no army on the hill waiting to kind of take you away and make all your dreams come true. You've got to do it yourself. You've got to push. You've got to go outside these boundaries. And actually, I think that's the bit that is quite controversial, I suppose, because some people are like, well, I don't get rewarded or recognised for what I'm doing. But it's like, yeah, well, you turned up. So what? Who cares?
Yeah,
I can find another 100 people to turn up. Yeah. So do you want to be here? Do you want to do it? Do you want to be on this journey? Do you want to be involved with it? And I think this is where the two-way street comes in. And this goes on, right, to talk about now loud retention. And I think this is what, if you have people that are quite quitting or whatever it may be, is how do you then remedy this? What can you do to help? So I didn't know that loud retention was even really a thing, but do you want to take the terminology of this one?
Yeah, so the importance of overtly recognising, rewarding and investing in employees to make them feel appreciated, motivated and connected to the organisation. A proactive approach towards employee retention, which goes above paychecks to include emotional and social rewards.
There you go. So now we're talking about, okay, we'll have this kind of agreement in a contract or whatever, that you turn up, I pay you X, but in return, you do those things that I'll make sure that it's a cool place to work ultimately. And you're going to be stretched and you're going to get all those kind of good things that go with coming to work.
I think I really like the term loud retention. I do quite like.
Yeah.
I don't think they're necessarily two polar opposites, but I think it's something that all organisations just need to be doing, because if you've got employees sitting there going, I don't feel recognised, I don't feel rewarded, I don't.
But why is that? Like, I think that's the question you got to ask straight away. If you don't feel rewarded or recognised, why are you not being rewarded and recognised? What is it you're not doing? What is it that they're not seeing that isn't being rewarded? Is it just that you're turning up and you've done your job? It's okay. I can talk to you every day and go, thanks for coming in. I
think the recognition for just acting your wage is you get paid your wage.
Yeah. You've done your bit and I paid you.
No more, no less.
Yeah. It's like a builder, isn't it? You've done your day, you get paid your daily rate, you did your job. Thanks for coming.
Yeah. I'm not going to take you out for dinner as well. And
please come back tomorrow.
Yeah. But then, maybe if you offered to build a lunch and, teas and coffees throughout the day, the work that they would do would be better.
I think it actually, in actual fact, if that person that you was building a house with in this kind of scenario actually said, you know what, Robbie, if we did it this way and that way, then that's a life skill you can learn and that's a better technique for the future and you've learned something today. That's got to keep you coming back more than a paycheck, rather than just go and do a loading, go and load those plasterboards. That's all you need to do today. You don't learn much beyond, can I carry 2 or 3 at a time and how do I do that? Once you kind of cracked it, then what?
Yeah.
So if you're just doing that day in and day out and there's no kind of like progression, even in this very simplistic term, what keeps you coming back beyond the paycheck? Because that will only kind of keep you enticed for such a period of time until something better comes along. Whereas if you have that same mentality where you've got people around you going, we need to do this because part of the job just is what it is, and that's what I'm paying you for, so let's just get on with it. But actually, what we're learning is this, and I'm going to show you how to do it in a more cost-effective way. It might set you up in the future to run your own company, and this is the thing to watch out for, and on that every day, and just keep that momentum going. It can be just bite-sized pieces. It doesn't have to be the keys to the castle. Yeah, definitely. And I think just because I think immediately people go, low retention is, oh well, if I work late, I should get paid for it. And it's it's not just that. So if you are staying late, in your state working beyond your hours, I think if it's regularly, then maybe that's not healthy. Right? But actually doing it for the purpose of, okay, I'm doing this because this will allow me to go to here, here, and here. I think a lot of it is just around clarity, around, okay, I can see why I'm doing this. And I think it's just, I think it's the why. Yeah. Of, okay, if I work an extra 2 hours this week past my 9 to 5, I'm not going to get paid for it. Why am I doing it? Is it for my benefit, or is it the company's benefit? And I think it needs to be for both. It needs to tick both boxes, because the business can always say, well, you've got projects to deliver to, just do it. Just get it done. And it's like, well, why am I doing it? That's when people kind of down tools and say, I'm just going to do the bare minimum that I need to, that you require from me. I'm not learning. I'm not being challenged. I'm spending my time for your benefit, not mine. Yeah. I don't think it's as easy as saying, well, if you stay a couple of hours extra this week, we'll just give you overtime. I don't think that's the same as well. It's like, you're doing this because this can give you this new skill, or you can be involved in this project. There's actually learning, progression, there's challenge, there's something that you can take out of it as well. Yeah, there's always got to be rewards. I think that's absolutely right. Like, if people go above and beyond, there's reward for doing that. And that's, in the sense of this, it could be bonuses, it could be better training, better opportunity, whatever it may be. I think it does come down to, for me anyway, I always look at that and think, well, if I don't do it, I'm never going to know. And even when I think about when I started Northreach, and prior to that, you're employed, you turn up, you do your bit, you go home, and work stays at work and home stays at home. But when you're in a more of an entrepreneurial kind of role, I suppose, or even like in a billing role or like a revenue generating role, it's very hard to turn that on and off. To find healthy boundaries and things to make it work, and I think that makes good sense. But to me, these two kind of marry very, very easily for me, because quiet quitting in the sense could not be, it may not even be anything to do with the company or your job or anything. It could be something personal that's going on that's affecting your mood, and your mood in general affects everything and everything around you. So if you've got like a quite a vibrant and buzzy kind of mood, it generally spills out. But if you have a very negative kind of view and your shoulders are low and it's all like doom and gloom, that does the same thing. And you're already quite quitting, and even in that sense, you're just saying, I'm just turning up just to turn up today. So I'm not well, or something's going on or whatever. And I get it, you got to deal with that stuff. But do we reward you for that because you turned up, or do you just get on with it? Like, it's life. I don't think there's reward for quiet quitting. The quiet quitting piece is you're just doing what we expect you to do, and there's a fair trade of, I'm going to give you your, what we agree in our contract, and in return, as a business, you work and deliver to X, Y, and Z in these hours. Yeah. But to want more than that, and to go above and beyond, which people have historically been doing, and they say, well, it's just part of work, you just have to put the hours in. You're doing it for that reward, and it doesn't need to be over instant success as well. I know we kind of talk about, everyone's always looking for that kind of instantaneousness. Yeah, I'm not going to avoid this word. That's 3 weeks in a row now. Yeah, but like that Amazon, next day delivery. It needs to be on the doorstep. I want to have it now. I need it now.
I go onto Netflix and stream. Sometimes putting in that work, we go, well, I'm going to, Miss Britain's Got Talent tonight now. Yeah. You do it for. In the long run, you do it for the goal. The goal, and it's like saying, well, I've been to the gym once this week. Yep. Why haven't I got a six pack? Yeah, exactly. You don't go, well, it's not, and equally it works in business as well. You don't just say, well, I've worked late this week, or I've gone above and beyond and delivered a project. I've done this, done that. I should be rewarded now. It's like, well, fantastic, and I really appreciate that. And sometimes it is just being recognised of someone to go, pat on the back as you leave and said, "Oh, good work today, mate. You've done really well."
Yeah.
You know, thanks for putting the graft in. I'll buy you breakfast in the morning.
I
Like
think-
little things to be recognised.
I think that is the key to it.
But it's
right?
but
And it's
they
a
all
good-
add up into that big goal.
They do.
It's not going to be overnight.
Well, actually, your gym analogy is probably right. Whereas that, no matter what generation you're kind of from, even if it is that the more younger generation, as in Generation Gen Z particularly, want more of this instant kind of world and gratification, everyone's very acutely aware that you cannot go to the gym just one time and expect a six-pack. All right, you're going to have these guys and girls and everything in between that has like a higher metabolism and can burn a lot and naturally musty, whatever. But on the whole, you cannot go to the gym once and expect results. You go twice, 5 times, 10 times, and what happens is over an elongated period of time, you start seeing these tiny little increments, and then these are the nuggets, aren't they? These are the bits you kind of go, just keep going, because you're getting towards your goal. And I think actually, this balance between data retention and quiet quitting is exactly the same. It can start just as simply as, thanks for turning up today, done a great job today. You know, I recognise what you did here, and you start getting these small kind of rewards. And it ends up leading towards this ultimate kind of goal, whatever that kind of means at the end of the day, be it a six-pack or, you know, a promotion or whatever.
Rise.
That's a journey for both parties, isn't it? Is that I'm going to turn up to the gym today, and I'm going to work out, and my body ultimately, however you want to kind of put that analogy back into the work sense, is going to reward me long term. It's not going to be overnight. You're not going to see it on a day-to-day. You will not see it. It will make a blind bit of difference. But over the course of 1, 3, 4 months, you will, and you'll notice it, and you'll like it, or you might not, and life happens again, and the pendulum swings again.
And I think this isn't a permanent thing either, because I think you mentioned a great point of like everyone's got their own personal issues as well. You know, you might have, you know, be doing really well, and then something happens in your personal life. You know, you lose a loved one, you know, miss out on a house you were trying to buy, whatever it is, and then you go into that quiet quitting stage for, you know, a month, 2 months. And I think it's how you then get out of that.
Yeah, just by starting again.
Yeah.
And it's exactly the same as when you're trying to get back into some sort of routine. It is super hard to start because you're there and your brain has kind of programmed it to be like, well, this is our new standard. This is now what we're doing. But then to kind of kick that trend, you need something that motivates you. You need that goal again. Yeah. And sometimes maybe this is the whole point of around loud retention is going, I can give you that point again. So why are you here then? Like, let's talk about that. You know, what are you aspiring towards? Can we work towards that piece then? And actually go, that's our workout plan then. So that's our training plan. That we know where we're at, and it could be that we just identify that you're not where you need to be, you don't want to be, or whatever. Why don't we work on a plan? Why don't we actually look at something that's going to be valuable to you, valuable to me, and at the end of it, we're going to be on a beach in Marbella with a six-pack.
No, exactly.
It's never going to happen.
No,
but some sort of formula of that.
Yeah, and you have and I think you have that idea, and you know you can go in and out of working towards that plan and back into quiet quitting. Yeah. We spoke about one of the reasons you quite quit, burnout.
Burnout, huge.
How often do you see it was like I've worked like an absolute dog, like a racehorse. I've put everything into this for 2-3 years, and you go, I can't do it. I quit the job. 6 months later, I start somewhere else and I go again. And you think, well,
I don't think there's anything wrong with that though.
No, but then it's that. What stops you to say, look, I've been, for 8-9 months, I've gone 150%. Do you know what? For the next 3 months, I'm just going to be, by term, quiet quitting. But in reality, I'm just doing what you are.
I'm just doing my job.
I'm just doing my job. For 3 months, I'm just going to do my job. You won't see me a lot. I'm not going to be the most sociable person. I'm not going to be putting the hours in. But in 3 months' time, when I feel like I've got something to work towards again, now I can go back into that kind of hustle kind of. I hate the term. I actually
grinding.
Yeah, I'm on my grinder. That kind of hustle. What's the culture? I guess
it is a culture. I mean, it's definitely that was definitely my culture. There was always that grinding, or just getting it done. All that kind of stuff. I just don't like the actual. Yeah, because you don't like TikToks. Yeah. And it's like, you need to invest in crypto. I don't know if you've seen it. The guy where he's like, I break that. I don't know if you've seen it. He's like, I break my. I've always got Lambo now. Yeah. What was that coin you got me into? Was it not Luna?
Doge.
No, it wasn't Doge. Yeah. Oh, Christ.
The B. Bitcoin?
Bonfire.
Yeah, that
Ironic
went well,
name
didn't
for a
it?
crypto.
Yeah.
Isn't it?
It was like a
You
bonfire.
set bonfires on fire, don't you?
Yeah,
And watch
well,
them
this
burn.
definitely went on fire.
I did tell you, you do it on your own risk.
Oh, thank you. I
Sound
do
like
it
a
at my own
qualified
risk.
broker.
Yeah, you did. I'm not a financial advisor.
Yeah.
Yeah, caught a cold on that one.
Yeah. But yeah, you see the I don't know if you've seen the TikTok, and the guy's like, I break my hours into days.
Okay.
And he's like, so from
Days
12,
and
yeah, it's really short, from like 12 a.m. to 6 a.m. That's Monday.
times. What?
He goes, yeah. He goes, and then he goes like 6 a.m. to 12 p.m. is Tuesday. He goes, by the time you wake up and you've had your lunch, I'm already on Wednesday.
Oh, sod off.
Yeah, it's very stupid. I'll start trying to find it, but
How can you break down a whole week in a day?
I don't know if it's. I think it might be a parody, but
Oh.
the whole thing, it's like that environment where it's like I get up at 4 a.m. then I go for a 3-hour bike ride, then I go for a 2-hour run, and it's like that's
So
the
fucking
bit where
weird.
I'm like, just relax.
Just chill out, dude.
Yeah, it's just like that kind of environment. I think it's definitely you always have something to work towards and putting the hours in, and you know something I've always kind of grown up with and we've kind of spoken about here is like you get out what you put in,
Yep.
and that goes to everything, whether it's work, life, whatever it is. You get out what you put in. I just personally don't like the whole hustle kind of trend that goes on at the moment, where it's like everyone needs to be a business owner, everyone needs to have a side
That's
hustle.
an image though, right? And do you know what? I think a lot of what you see online definitely encourages this as well. Because if you're not getting the rewards you expect instantly, nearly instantaneously, then I can imagine this sets in a lot quicker. And we've definitely seen it where you put people into jobs, they start that job, and within about 3-4 months they go, it's not right for me, I'm just not getting where I want to be, I'm not making an impact. So you've been here 4 months.
Yeah.
You barely know where the kitchen is.
Yeah.
You know what?
Yeah.
You know, there's not enough time to really understand the gubbins of that business.
No, exactly.
I
Or even
think-
make an impact.
Or you make an impact. Like,
It's
not really. You should be finding your feet and like understanding things, and really kind of working out how am I going to navigate this. That takes time. You can't, and that's kind of where the hustle is. Really, it's all the quiet stuff. Funny thing about hustle. Funny thing about all these books, and particularly people online that talk about how do X, Y, and Z, and how amazing your life can change. Is they kind of really focus on a lot of those big output pieces around. I'm going to go through 3 hour bike journey. It's going to take 50 miles or whatever it may be. Then I'm going to close these deals and do this. It's okay. Hold on. Let's scale this back to a beginner level. How on earth did you start off doing like 3-hour bike journeys and closing those deals automatically? It took time. It took a whole gradient of effort and hustle, if you want to call it that, or at least kind of putting the hours in to be able to even do those things. That's what you should be taught. Not like the fluffy stuff on top. Is like, okay, so how did you get there? Tell me about that journey. Tell me about all the kind of trials and tribulations that took to get you there, and who helped you. Because you didn't do it alone. You don't do it alone. You had to have some sort of motivation, some sort of thing inside you to make that happen. So what was it? And then why don't we talk about that more, rather than just what comes out at the end?
Yeah. They're almost like quick fad diets.
It is quick, yeah.
It's
Just
like,
don't eat.
Yeah, just
There's
don't eat.
one.
Yeah,
Lose
literally.
weight. Done.
Yeah, fasting and stuff like that. It's like it's not manageable in the long term either.
No, not at all.
I think this kind of going digressing a little bit, but it's almost like it's better to be disciplined than motivated.
I think, yeah, 100%.
Because discipline means you'll do it because it's ingrained into you, whereas motivation is when you feel motivated, you'll do it.
Yeah,
And I think it's impossible to stay motivated 100% of the time, all the time for that one goal, because you will have the days where you go, do you know what? I just feel hungover. I don't want to go in an ice bath and go to the gym for 2 hours.
that's a new thing, isn't it? The old ice baths.
Yeah. I've not tried it yet.
It's good fun. I just have cold showers.
You've always had cold showers.
I had cold showers, not every day, but definitely most of the time for the past year, I suppose. But I think I do kind of get it. I was about to say I don't get why when you just jump in the shower every day, because it is different. Like going in the shower every day, you don't get that complete kind of coldness that you do in a bath. But it's pretty severe.
I was going to say,
treatment.
I've done it where I get to the end of the shower and I go, right, I'll have it's a slightly cool shower.
Yeah.
I don't think it's like is it like when you do it, is it like ice cold?
So I do it as a gradient. So I have it lukewarm anyway when I get in the shower. So it's just enough so you can get in. So you're not
Yeah.
You know. And then
you have to watch that bit.
it's going to be terrible. And then I just put it on like a gradient, colder until there's literally no hot left and it's just ice cold. And I try to do that for a minute, 90 seconds, 2 minutes, however long I can at that point. And it's just a way to kind of get senses moving and that kind of stuff, which is quite good. But discipline, you mentioned a good point. I don't want to overlook that. It's almost like sometimes you can just discipline to do the things well that you don't like doing as well as the stuff you do like doing. That's something really special there.
Yeah.
And actually, this is where things should be rewarded and recognised, at least from like an employment perspective, right? If you've got people that go, I absolutely hate doing this piece of work or whatever that may be, but I'm going to give it my all. They're the things you should reward people for. Because if you know that they completely hate it and they just don't enjoy doing it, no kind of like love recognition or anything out of it, but you go, at the end of the day, it was a good job, well done, thank you so much. Let's go to the driving range and hit some balls or whatever. I always kind of let's go to the pub and go for a beer. Why not? You could go to the pub for a beer or take a couple of hours off or hit a few balls, whatever it may be. I think they're the things that you can really start with as a way to at least show some of that loud retention, for sure. There's some other good ones on here, actually. So I think that kind of goes down to employee engagement. There's a lot around team building exercises, collaboration within the business as well, regular workshops, brainstorming. I could tell you what, I haven't done for a little while, but we used to love doing the brainstorming sessions. I always thought that was a really good one.
Yeah, just that massive roll of like cardboard paper.
Yeah.
Everyone's just throwing ideas out.
Let's just see what I think. A collective mind in that sense is so powerful. And actually, if anything, it gives people a sense of they really have an opinion and belong in terms of what they're doing. I mean, it doesn't always work.
No, and sometimes there are ideas that maybe should have, not been.
Should have stayed as an idea.
Yeah, but
that's the beauty of it, isn't it?
Yeah, and I think you just feel engaged. Like I think even just in our own environment, like winter time, for example, it's like no one really wants to be there out in the cold. You're not really going to the pub as much, but even if you just go out with work one night a week, I always find that people are more. You just see there's a better buzz in the office when people are engaged. You're having a laugh with each other. When it is just things are a little bit down and you're leaving at 6, you're getting in at 9. You can tell that people are down and all of a sudden you do go out a couple of times, you get a bit more social. There's a bit of a, like you said, more positive attitude. All of a sudden everyone's kind of got that fire in there as well.
You just enjoy it more. You kind of forget the work. You're just doing it together.
Do you think work from home has an impact on quiet quitting?
Of course it does. You in your head. I know what.
Because I find if I've got like deliveries or coming and I'm working from home, I'm just like walking around the house. Yeah. And I'm trying to find someone to talk to. Yeah. And I'm like,
I think it suits people, right? working from home's great, and I think the flexibility is wonderful, but there's got to be an element of you are putting yourself on an island, and I don't know really how you remedy that the same way you can do when you've got people together. So let's just take work out of it for a minute. It's almost like training, same thing. So if you're training, you could do it on your own. You could do it in your garage, in the garden, your bedroom. It doesn't really matter, does it? But the idea of going to a place and going for a run with someone or calling someone, you go on a bike ride, you're doing something together physically. There's that connection, is that buzz that you get from that.
Yeah, definitely.
And I think the same thing goes with the place of work. I mean, I love the kind of office and stuff. I know there's a lot of work, and I'm slowly working on that.
I've seen some cardboard boxes.
There's more cardboard, which is good. We're buying things, so that's cool. I bought a table in today.
Ooh.
Yeah,
I did see that actually.
Table. I'm going to buy a sofa this week without being known, I think.
Good time to do it.
Well, yeah, whilst Ben's away, Sam will spend.
Is Ray off as well?
Ray.
By the time Ray sees it, it's too late.
Yeah, by the time Ray's here, he won't even know. But yeah, that's well, I completely forgot what I was saying on that point there.
But the office environment.
Office environment. I think it's nice to have an environment. And again, it escapes home. And I think
it's that the boundaries.
It's a healthy boundary.
Yeah, I'm going to really throw a spanner in the works.
Trap him.
When it's not that big a spanner, but I would actually say when you work from home, the boundaries are skewed, so you actually end up working longer.
I think so. I think
because you sit at a desk and you go, well, all of a sudden it's like 8 o'clock.
Yeah,
you're not thinking about that commute home. You're not thinking about I've got to jump on the train or jump in the car.
I have thought this for a good few years now, and I think it's completely true. think about a normal day in 2019. Just run through a day. So what it kind of looked like in 2019. So you'd wake up, get to the office, 9 o'clock, have a coffee, have a chat, do some work. How long is it before then you have a break, roughly speaking?
Couple of hours.
Couple of hours, right? And then you do the same sort of thing again, have some lunch, until 2 or whatever, have another break, and then start thinking about going home. Now let's try and throw in a couple of meetings into this. So let's just say we need to have a meeting and you need to do a meeting in London or something. Out of that day, how much could you have done then?
Yeah, it's also shrunk massively.
Right, so you might not be able to do all those bits you did in the morning. You want to do that meeting with me and you need to get on the train early. That was 2019. It's kind of how it's starting to get back to a little bit now. Now let's think about a day in 2021 or 2020. You could do all those things. They do 10 meetings, back to back, half hour, bam, 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 and that's what people were doing. And that's where burnout was kind of happening. Is that it was completely unrealistic for anyone to think that was sustainable for a long period of time. And actually, everyone talks about how the market has gone quieter now. I think it's a lot of bollocks, because all that's happened is you can't do 10 meetings like you used to because people are actually going out interacting again. So this whole idea of working from home, doing my job from home, it's like, can you build a better relationship with someone than I can going to meet them face to face? I'd seriously challenge that.
No, I agree.
And I think that's where the world's gone way too one way. Is like, I can do it from home. It's like, yeah, you can, but you're forgetting one thing. People don't want that as much anymore. So need and want. Yes, you can work from home. But you do you. But I'm going to go out and I'm going to go to the office. I'm going to build relationships and I'm going to actually go above and beyond and be in a collective place of people that want to keep moving and don't want to sit at home all the time.
Yeah, exactly.
Clearly, my views are quite big on that. But there is its place. I like spending time at home and working from home because I can get more done.
Yeah, I think it's that efficiency. Because I think most people would say they're more efficient working from home.
Yeah, efficient,
but
probably.
But then if you're trying to build relationships and, again, client-facing, it's so difficult to do that.
Isn't that just work in general, though? In my mind, there's two ideas with working. You're either making money or saving money, one or two. And I think that applies to everything. You could be a scientist, or a builder, or an accountant, or a compliance person. No matter what you do, you're either there to create some money or save it in one way, shape or form. So again, it's like, I don't know. Like for me, I just feel like if you want that kind of flexibility, that working from home, that kind of stuff, which is great, but you still need to be around other people to do your job effectively.
Yeah, I think completely remote is so difficult.
Definitely.
But yeah, there's definitely those times for being in the office and collaborating. But I think that flexibility piece is what most people look for nowadays.
I like this piece around this when it talks about flexible working policies, right? Working flexible hours, job sharing, is a good one. You mentioned this earlier. I think it's a good point. Sometimes I think employers get so hung up on hiring in terms of having permanent employers rather than using contractors, consultants, part-time. So why do you need someone full-time to do every job? You don't.
No.
You need a contractor just to kind of push the button on that's kind of there for a project, or actually I can't really fulfill all these career aspirations you got, and actually the role doesn't really warrant it either, so we could probably just find someone to do that 3 days a week rather than 5. Or do you know what? There is a situation where like the job shares. Just get 2 people to do that job, so you just work 2 days a week then. Happy days. There's so many ways I think you can, if you're open to it, you get better results, or even as the same or better results than what you aspiring to get anyway.
Yeah.
Just by thinking about that whole working pattern a bit differently.
Yeah, definitely. I think the working pattern and the actual, not just chaining people to the desk 9 to 5 every day, and if your job's done you still have to stay here till 5.
Yeah.
If you've finished everything you need to do and it's 2 o'clock on a Friday, the sun's shining, do you need to be there till 5?
No, but I suppose there is this kind of idea that there will be others that need to, then you're setting a precedent, that kind of stuff. But on the whole, I agree. I think that you could use the extra time to do other things.
And I think it is all about setting those boundaries, both sides as well.
And expectation.
Yeah, boundaries and expectations.
Yeah.
If this is what we require and this is what, boundaries you can set as well.
Yeah.
So I'm just kind of looking here on the, strategies for fostering a positive workplace. Obviously, number one is, we said about not people feeling that they're kind of too easy, there's no challenge. The whole podcast that we've done now upskilling.
Yeah.
Is exactly that, in terms of kind of, it needs to come from employees to say, look, this is what I want to do, this is where I want my career to go, and employers kind of being honest with people and saying this is how we can do it, and also saying, do you know what, you say, so I want to become a manager. You say, look, unfortunately, we're too small, it's not going to happen here.
Yep.
We can kind of teach you things, and this is what we can offer you in the meantime, but obviously otherwise just saying, look, we're okay to kind of let you go, unfortunately for us, but you need to kind of grow, and this is how we can help you do that. It's not necessarily a bad thing, just to kind of be honest with people and say, we can't offer you that here. This is where we can go, and maybe it can be an option, but this is how long it will take, rather than the kind of, we'll talk about it next review. We'll talk about it next review. We'll talk about it next review.
Yeah. It is pretty good to don't know, and it does happen. And again, I think it's a case of, if you can work on it, great. If you can't, be honest.
Because at least people know where they stand then. And if you have to lose a good resource, it's better than having a great resource and not using them.
Do you know what I've seen quite recently is these individuals that are actually verbalising it to their managers and stuff to say, I'm leaving, but I'm not leaving yet. And I've seen this a little bit more recently, where individuals are literally approaching their bosses, trying to have these conversations, say, I'm not happy for X, Y, and Z, or I want to be stretched in a different way, and they're like, well, we can't do it. And it's like, okay, well, why don't you just stay until you find a better thing then?
Yeah,
have you seen this?
Yeah, funny enough, I've actually had it on the flip side of reaching out to people, and they've gone, that's maybe a little bit more junior than what I'm doing, but I have someone in my team that would be really suitable for. I know they're unhappy, they want more, they're ready to take a step up. Yeah. I can't offer it to, and I think that is perfect management and leadership.
I think so.
Because you're kind of saying, I've identified together with that employee that they want to take their career. I want to make sure that they don't leave thinking, I'm a wanker. So what can I do to help them, so that if we do grow and I do need a manager, someone to take my job in a year's time, if I get promoted, I can call them up and go, hey, I know you've been managing somewhere else, do you want to come back?
Yeah, and go around again.
It doesn't just because someone leaves the business doesn't necessarily mean that they're gone forever.
Yeah, some people see it as a real kind of stab in the back, and I think 9 times out of 10 it's the way you do it, but then there's still this culture of not feeling that you can talk about it because you're so worried about losing your job. Yeah,
because we have seen it as well, where you speak to candidates and they go, I've had them a notice, and they go, what did they say? And they went, just leave. Yeah. You don't see it as much.
You don't see it as much. I think in those instances it's used because the synergy's not there.
Yeah.
And sometimes, and again, that's absolutely fine. With all these people in the world, we're not going to get on with everyone, and that's okay. That is completely okay. And this goes down into, I think, one of the points here around mental health. This is something that needs to be promoted more and more and more. And I know we've started some stuff, and we need to follow up on with our kind of mental health kind of training and the way we kind of identify and signpost and those kind of good things. But stress management, I think, is a really great one. Mindfulness, in terms of they talk about mindfulness in terms of meditating, that type of stuff. But I think mindfulness can literally just go for a walk in the woods or on a beach or just in more of a nature environment. It's a bit difficult if you're in a metropolitan city. Yeah. But there's got to be kind of things that you can do just to help with that, and whatever that means to you, right? And because I like the analogy of just using the driving range. It's a great way to relieve stress. You're in that kind of moment, you have to be quiet because it's just an etiquette that you kind of abide by. And whether or not you're completely shit and you can't hit a ball or not, you're not thinking about work and you're thinking about something different. So I like that one. That's quite good.
We've always laughed and joked about having a boxing bag.
You
say,
bag.
Right, you've got it for call, it's not gone well.
Yvonne would love that.
Yeah, Yvonne is in the background putting her gloves on.
Well, for different reasons though.
Yeah, but you've had you get off a call and it doesn't go how you wanted it to, or you've stressed out. Do you know what? I'm just going to punch a boxing bag for a minute, and then the stress is gone. We used to have, we've got stress balls.
Oh my god, yeah.
Quite a few of them. You've seen kicks across the room, and
well, we don't have them anymore. And do you know the reason why we don't have the stress balls anymore? So when I think it was very early days, Northreach, we wanted to do these packs, didn't we? So we wanted to do the packs around sending stuff out. Yeah, I remember stress balls to be in the packs. Yeah, so we thought stress balls were quite a good one to put in, and we sent it out to one of the couple of placements, and then one fella turned around and went, "Do you not find it's quite ironic you're giving someone a stress ball on their first day of work?"
That is actually quite
I was
ironic.
like, "Ah, you dummy." So then we had like 1,000 stress balls.
Yeah, I was going to say, like,
We just had.
knowing how we order things,
Yeah, yeah.
there probably was a quite. Yeah, I think there's a few lying around the office.
It was. It took me years to get rid of them all. They were just hiding everywhere in the office. So
I've got one at home.
I've got a couple at home still.
Yeah.
But yeah, it did. It was like one of those afterthoughts of like,
Yeah.
oh yeah, I suppose it is. We just wanted
There's
something.
there's definitely an irony in there.
There was definitely something. It was just quite funny, and I thought, oh, I didn't really think of that.
Yeah.
But
Maybe
at
we
the
should have got on
time-
the back, like, hopefully you don't need it.
Yeah, could have made it quite funny, I suppose. But yeah, it was always that age of like something to like fidget spinners. There's something just to handle that was tactile. So we thought SpongeBob, like the stress balls, was a really good one.
That's why I've stopped having like the pens that you can click, because a few times people, Ivana's going in the background, because you used to just sit there just clicking the pen, and it's like, we don't need that.
Yeah,
we don't need
for
that.
other people's well-being.
Yeah.
But I like the well-being thing. I think that
Yeah.
it's quite a minefield in the sense of it sounds like it is a big important subject, and I think again because of COVID and what everyone went through in that sense, it has made people more aware of their mental state of mind, and it has. I think it's given really good sense of balance on what that means, and I think there's been a lot of physiological kind of aspects that have happened because of people being burnt out and stressed and the rest of it, which I think's quite crazy. Funny enough, I actually, when I did this health check with the Bupa the other day, I had like a referral, nothing crazy, and I was speaking to the lady, and she said to me that the mental health kind of like system at the minute is completely overwhelmed. And she said there's so many people looking for different types of therapy and signposting, it's absolutely bonkers. So she said if you can find like good referees at the minute, referees, then go for it, because they're like, everyone is going not nuts about it, because that's quite funny in a weird way, but really taking it quite seriously.
And I think it's just a lot more open to talk about now, whereas before it was
Seems
like,
to be.
before it would just be
Get on with
blow
it.
out and get on with it, just
Yeah.
stop making a meal of it, whereas now you can have those conversations, and I think that's something that in the workplace is so important.
That's important. I think the idea behind this really is that if you have a better sound of mind in terms of your employees, the actual efficiency and like profitability of what you're actually doing is going to be pay you tenfold, because you're thinking about people's state of mind as well as just kind of deliver. It's like, let's just make sure that whilst you're going through whatever you're going through, you've got all the tools that you need to do the best you can. And that's really it.
Yeah, no, exactly. Encourage employee feedback. I think this goes both ways, actually. I think it's not just from employers to say this is how you're getting on, but also for employees to talk to the business and say this is what we need and what I need.
Yeah.
And for employers to say like this is what we can do. It's that two-way conversation. It can't be driven from. It can't just be employees saying, I feel like quitting because feel like I'm rewarded or recognised, I've got progression.
Yeah.
But then it's not just up to employers to say, this is what we can do. It needs to be that dialogue between.
It does.
both.
It's a lot of it's communication. I think, weirdly enough, I think a lot of these aspects that we're touching on can be just sorted out with just a decent chat. And
It's kind of there's a kind of couple of different points on here as well. Promote supportive leadership, similar sort of thing, where it's like you need leaders and management to be able to kind of identify when people are kind of going through that quiet quitting phase.
Yep.
And actually have those open conversations and what could that lead to? Because you never know, it could be, is everything all right? And then all of a sudden it could be, like you said, a personal thing that they've kept quiet, that's kind of eating away at them. And everyone else is going, they just can't be asked to put the work in, they're lazy, they're not, they're kind of downing tools, when in reality it could be
something else completely.
It could be something else completely unrelated to work that's having an effect.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden you've kind of got a great team member who's just not going through a great time.
They just need some support.
Just need some support.
That does definitely happen. I think this is where it's all boiling to, right? Is that I think as an employer you just need to do more than the paycheck and the job, it definitely was a generational thing when I was. And it's only I say generation. It was 10 years ago. Like it was like, well, this is your job. Just take it or leave it.
Leave home at the door.
Leave home at the
door.
Leave your home stuff at the door and come to work. That was definitely that whole hustle in that sense, in terms of just get it done. There was no well-being. There was no kind of mental health. You get complete joke. Mental health was like, all right, I'm just going to the pub, have a blowout at the weekend, and do it Monday. That was about as mental well-being has it got?
Yeah.
For me, anyway, that's exactly what it was. But it should. I think employers should definitely do more. And I think that's the end of it, really, for me, is that you have to kind of listen. You've got to take the feet. Do you know what? It's one thing I hate more than anything is that when you get these individuals, particularly in really fast-growing companies, they get to a point, they get dozens of people, hundreds of people in their business. They kind of sit in their ivory tower going, look what we built. Look what we built. It's like, yeah, you're so far up, you don't even know what's going on down there anymore. They're actually fighting one another. They're not happy. They're leaving. They're not saying very nice things. It's because you're not communicating properly.
And especially in that, I was gonna say hyper growth, but I know you laugh at that. Yeah, makes me feel physically sick.
It does.
But those kind of scale up businesses where you've gone from 10 employees and gone, do you know what, we've kind of got onto something here. Then you go, okay, we're at 60 people. We should start thinking about. I don't know, maybe kind of putting some HR and some policies and kind of making things rigid. Then all of a sudden you've got 300 people and the CEO and the C-suite are so focused on taking it to the next level, getting investment, all these other things that you don't know what's going on the operations kind of
on the ground level. Yeah. And
you kind of look through and go, oh, the warehouse looks good, but in reality it's on fire.
That comes back to your values, though. In my mind, is that if you can get the values right at the top and help that cascade through your management team, leadership team, those kind of things, it will impact everyone in the business. Because every one of those employees that you hire, whether it's one person or 100 people or 1,000, doesn't matter, they'll have their own version of what those values mean, directed by whoever they're reporting to. That's it. So you can have 100 different mini cultures in your culture. And a lot of it is aligned to who you're managed by. That's the bonkers part of it.
Yeah.
So
I think when you are a massive company like that, it's difficult to have one culture.
But you don't need one.
You don't need a sales
one
team.
Well, you do need one. The idea is you have one culture, but then it encompasses lots of different things. So a lot of people start with culture as words, right? Well, it is words, but they're actionable kind of things behind it. So it could be around trust and respect and innovation, whatever it may be. And then it's like, okay, so it's taking innovation. What does that mean to me? It could mean something slightly different to you. You still have the same value, you just see it differently. And this where kind of fairness and equality kind of lies in as well, because you don't need 100 Sams in the world. You really don't. You need like a different collective mind, but with the same sort of values. And I think this is where it can really go off the tracks really quickly. If you don't do it whilst you're small, and if you have the ability to grow really quickly and be hyper when you do it, it will come off the tracks, and you will spend way more time and money and resources on hiring the right people and rectifying what you've done wrong. Whereas if you just spent the time and actually got it right to start with, you could make something so amazing. And this loud retention piece wouldn't need to be so loud. It could just be, this is just our policy because we literally live and read by the values. We listen to you as our employees. We care about your well-being as well as your actual output. And you want to do well, we've got ways to help you do that, whatever that means. And if we can't, we'll communicate and be honest with you. For me, that's it.
Yeah, agreed.
Mic
if you
drop.
do it from if you do absolutely, if you do it from the get-go, you won't have people quite quitting.
You won't, not as much. And if you do, they won't be so quiet about it. Hopefully this will instill a better kind of dialogue, whereas if you have someone leaving, they're more likely to say, it's not working out. And 9 times out of 10, I think you look back and go, you know that anyway. So it might not be a different end, but you might be aware of it already. And it might be a more amicable ending. And you might be able to plan for that better. Or it could be a segue for the person to say, oh, actually, do you know what? I know you're not happy. I've acknowledged that as well. I've been thinking, what about this? There's different ways you can cut this up. You've got a great set of skills that we love in the business. So why don't we just pivot left and right? Businesses pivot all the time. Why can't people?
Yeah, exactly. That was a great callback as well. But yeah, 100%. I think that it's not just as clear cut as I need to go from A to B. It's just I need to go somewhere, and whatever that looks like, it's not going to be an overnight journey.
No.
But as long as
here's a mad stat though. LinkedIn study would be a LinkedIn one. 74% of employees feel that they're quite quitting their jobs. 74% of employees feel that way. It's quite high, isn't it?
Yeah, but then on the flip side, I kind of look at that and go, 74% of people feel that they're just doing their job. Sorry, actually,
Okay.
I disagree. Yeah, that is actually quite surprising, because then I think I would say that more people feel that they go above and beyond. Even if they don't, they feel that they do.
Yeah, so 74% of basically you're kind of saying, I'm doing my job. That's probably not what it really means.
Mm.
But if that's what quiet quitting really is just that they are literally just doing their role in the capacity of what they've been asked to do.
Mm. Well, by definition, right, it's like effectively you are giving 100% to your job.
You are, so you're doing your job.
74% of people say they do
Are
give
doing their
100%.
And the other ones are like up or down on that, basically.
Yeah.
Interesting, isn't it?
Mm.
Interesting. Well, look, I think that's it. There's definitely a couple of good key takeaways there and what you can do. I think from both sides, right? I think the quiet quitting, if you're the actual person, I think you really got to take a minute and think about, you might be fine with that. You might be fine with the fact that you just turn up, do my job and go home. I've seen that a few times with a few people. Kind of go, there's a bit of a weird stigma when it comes to interviewing, right? And they're always asking, what's motivating, what's driving you, what's this, what's that? And it's almost like really frowned upon just to go, I just want a job. I just want a job that I'm half decent at. I can do it between these hours. I can get paid and go home. That's really what I'm looking for.
And also, I think if more people were honest with that, the business would be better off.
Well, you could align roles to it. You could align roles in that sense to go, do you know what? Actually, I have got a job that will pay you what you're looking for. It's not the most fun job in the world. It's not going to give you the most career progression, but it needs to be done. And it's quite important to us that it gets done well. What's wrong with that?
Yeah.
What,
if someone's happy to do that for 15 years, you never have to hire for them.
Yeah.
As long as you look after them, you make sure they're paid well, you make sure that they're looked after, and they enjoy what they do, and they can do it to a high quality.
Yeah.
Then 100%. Why not?
Yeah. And I know
not everyone needs to go up to be the C-suite.
Some people don't want to do it. Some people shouldn't be either.
No.
That's the other thing. People aren't born leaders or managers, or whatever. They have to work at that kind of stuff. They don't want to work it. Why push it?
Yeah.
It's one of those. And there's another thing I always think about that's good with stigma is if you're quite wealthy and you're looking for a job, you go, I'm really not doing it for the money. I've got loads of money. People don't like that.
No.
They really don't like that. They say, why would you want to do this job? It's like, because I'm bored. Because I want to. It's very rare you get people saying that. They have to make up some cock and ball story around like, it's always been my ambition to work in the post room.
Yeah.
See how it all works. You can't just turn around and go, I'm bored at home. I just need a job. I just need something to do between the hours of 10 and 4. Whatever. I'd love to see more of that.
Yeah. I've only had it once where it was like a 6-month temp role to work in a retail bank in the high street, and she was actually retired, and she went, I'm at home with my husband. We've been together 40 years. I do not want to spend all day with him. He drives me up the wall.
So
6 months. I can get back out to work. It gives me a little bit of money to go down to the bingo with and spend spoil the grandkids, and then that'll do me. 6 months go past. She goes, loved it, brilliant. I'm ready to retire now.
That's brilliant.
So
that's the wrap up of that. After a few different segues here and there.
Yeah, a few different segues. We need to definitely get a soundboard so we can do like a screech sound when we go off.
That would be good actually.
When we sort of veer off the road.
Yeah, I think that would be good. All right, mate, nice one. What's our next episode?
Understanding skills taxonomy. So
Understanding skill stats.
Taxonomy. So basically, skill-based hiring.
Ooh.
Prioritizing skills over qualifications.
Skills over qualifications. Hire for skill, hire for will, not for skill. That's a good one.
Great term. Definitely in our industry. There's saying it, there's a few degrees in our office now. People with degrees. There's no.
I was going to say that. What?
Yeah, we've just bought a load of degrees.
Yeah,
a few people. Yeah,
who's got degrees? Alex got a degree.
Jamie.
DeVriti.
DeVriti's got a
Tori.
degree. Oh my
I think
goodness.
Aloysia has.
Yeah, she does. She's got one.
Psychology.
Psychology, yeah.
Yep.
Wow.
Who else?
Ray's got degree in life.
Yeah, University of Life.
University of Life.
Stone Tablet, wasn't it? Ian, no.
Julian? I think Julian might do.
Yeah, Julian's definitely got one.
Yeah, Julian does.
He's definitely said he's been to the university, so.
Yeah. In sports, that's right, yeah. Yeah, he just went to get pissed for 3 years, I think.
So there you go.
Oh, wow, so they've really evened us out, us mere mortals, with nothing.
There you go. Does Ivan have a degree?
I don't think so. Well, he's done well because he didn't speak English like 7 years ago.
To be fair, yeah. Well, there you go. That's exactly. I'm going to work as a bartender so I can improve my English.
That's a good point. Actually, next one should be a really good one because it really is. Yeah, we'll get onto that one, but there's a lot to kind of really unwrap around the difference between being educated or going to work and raw skill and ability and that kind of stuff. That'd be quite a good one.
So tune in.
Until next time.
Well, I've got to catch a flight. So
You have got to catch a flight.
by the time this comes out, I would have just come back from Money 2020.
Yes.
So
yeah, you will do.
if you have been there, you should have said hello.
And if you didn't, now
if
you
you
know.
didn't, cheers.
All right, mate. Best of luck with that.
Cheers.
See you later.
See you next time.